Tuesday morning, and this is another edition of The Carton Show.
Yeah.
That's David Jacoby right there. That Super Bowl champion, Green Bay Packer, Mr. Hall of Famer with the sleeve on, Craig Jennings. This is Super Bowl champion, Mr. Offensive Lineman, Willie Bad Boy Cologne. And we are thrilled to have you here. Unfortunately, the first headline, which we're going to get to in a second, involves the New York Giants, and it's not a good one. So let's do it right. Tuesday morning headline. Headline number one: Daniel Jones hates Saquon Barkley.
What?
Right. I'm keeping it real. Keeping it out. I apologize, but it's true. Saquon Barkley, the star running back of the New York Giants, who twisted in the wind financially. And then yesterday, Daniel Jones agrees to restructure his contract to give the Giants about almost $7 million of more cap space. And I'm saying to myself, Willie Cologne, where were you when your brother needed a couple extra $1 million? Why didn't you offer the Giants the restructuring then?
No, because I think he's just minding his business. This whole running back market was in disarray. Nobody knew who was getting what was going to be what. I think Daniel Jones, first of all, just got the bag himself. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. Him getting the bag himself, I think he was focused on himself and realized he needs to be the best he can be for the Giants, even if Saquon's on the team and off the team. So I think he's just staying out of Saquon's pocket.
You know what makes you a good leader, Greg Jennings?
What makes you
when you recognize that your star running back who made your career last year, who helped get you a 4-year, $160 million contract with $82 million guaranteed in the first 2 years, allow him to taste the fruits of the vine as well.
Man. Willie is 100% correct here.
I know.
Like, you don't, when you get paid, and you're focused on yourself.
Yes.
You stay out of contracts talks when it comes to teammates, period. You don't entertain all of that. Look, if I get paid, and you're supposed to get paid, I'm not going to offer up mine for you right away. Like,
well, you're wrong.
No.
It's not all free. No, I want to be clear, and we'll get more of this later in the show. He didn't take less. They transferred some of it into a signing bonus, so he gets more up front.
So I'm not gonna
he gave them space to get Saquon money.
I am not going to put that on Daniel Jones when the organization could have come to him and possibly asked for this to be a case and take place prior to today or yesterday. So I'm not. Daniel Jones, you good, man.
It's called bad leadership. And listen, I can speak from example. Jacoby's here, thank you. And Willie's here. You're welcome. All right, that's called being a leader. That's what that is. That's
you take less money to bring us here?
Yeah, we even have a new social media person here today. I'm having a great week myself. All right. Headline number two, Joe Burrow's probably not playing week one against the Cleveland Browns. I only say that because when you ask the head coach, Zach Taylor, about where he is physically, if he's going to play and his calf is fine, it's an easy answer. Joe Burrow starting week one against the Cleveland Browns. If he's not starting, then the answer is different. The answer is day by day, day by day. We'll figure it out. Joe Burrow's out week one.
Yeah, I'm with you there, but I wouldn't play him if he's not 100%. It's simply because he means too much for our future moving forward, what we're trying to accomplish this season as a team. So if he's not 100%, Willie, I don't need you right now. The season isn't on the line week one.
What you also got to understand, man, when you're dealing with a soft tissue injury, it's not about him being prepped for the game. There's enough medication and drugs to get him ready for Sunday. What you're worried about is the recovery, right? Because if he shoots all his bullets, so to speak, against the Browns, he has an amazing game. He's Joe Burrow, what we expected. The next two games, I think it's the Rams and Arizona. Like, I could dodge the first week one, to your point. I could dodge week one, let him get an extra week of recovery, let him get an extra week of being prepared and strengthening that thing up, and then say, hey, man, week two against the Rams, let it rip. Go be yourself.
Well, they play the Ravens in week two.
Ravens, excuse me.
Yeah, so they're going to be 0-2 out of the gate.
Which they were last season.
Yeah. So explain to me where this information comes from that he's not on course to play. Because the offensive coordinator said there's a plan in place for him to play week one, and there has been no information from the camp that anything negative has happened to him.
Zach Taylor,
so the plan is in place.
Yeah, so when you ask the head coach about your franchise quarterback who did get hurt and hasn't played since he got hurt, is he playing in week one? And now we're Tuesday, right? If the answer is yes, you say yes.
Why?
Because that's what you do.
No,
because
no, that's not what you do.
Why would you do that?
Schematically, you give your team
Everyone's yelling at
a
me
disadvantage because clearly you don't know how this works. Clearly you don't
Put him on game, Greg.
Yeah, man, like, you want the Cleveland Browns preparing for
who?
Everybody.
For everybody.
For Jake Brown.
Jake Browning.
Grill.
Okay.
Yeah, for everybody.
So stop the nonsense right there. They're not game planning for Jake Browning.
Jake Browning,
or
different
anyone
quarterback.
else. I do know.
No.
Get on your game.
Yes, you are. That's how it works.
You gotta prepare for it
They
all.
have until I believe it is Friday to fully disclose whether or not a player is going to be playing, questionable, all the things, right? So you're not going to give a team an advantage by telling them early in the week. No.
Yeah, imagine all the tape that's out there on Jake Browning. I'm sure that'll be.
They're pouring over it. Yeah.
More. I don't want to call you guys names, but that was moronic. All right, and your third headline today. You know, Jacoby's favorite defense of all time is the Legion of Boom. This year it's going to be the New York Jets because DJ Reed, big fan of mine on the show, heard my comments earlier this week yesterday when I said this defense has a chance to pass the '85 Bears, the 2000 Ravens, and the Legion of Boom. And DJ Reed I'm talking.
I'm sorry.
DJ Reed came out and said, Craigie was right. We can have a historical defense like the ones I just mentioned. What's up?
Bottom line is, obviously, DJ Reed doesn't know who the 85 Bears is. I mean, he doesn't know.
He wasn't born.
He wasn't born. But, like, when you say things like this, you got to understand Buddy Ryan, the 46 defense. You got to talk about Richard Dent, Mike Singletary, Dan Hampton. These guys were monsters. They monsters of the Midway. They were Grizzly Bears literally on the field.
Yeah.
This Jets defense has just got started.
Oh, look, they sacked Eric Hipple. Good job. Oh, awesome.
But this is indicative to Robert Saleh. He has to put up right around his defense. Robert Saleh was brought here to bring that San Francisco 49ers defense that he dominated with and bring it to New York. So we'll see if they got it.
All right, well, listen, we got tons of time today to talk about all those things. The headlines are legit, they're big, and we are 48 hours away from the season opener, the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. And Mike McCarthy, of course, is already on the hot seat. So we will hear from Mike McCarthy in just a moment, talking about how the competitive spirit of this year's Cowboys is unlike any other year he's been the Cowboys head coach. Sure, Mike, right after this on FS1. All right, 48 hours away, NFL season starts. Detroit, Kansas City. Of course, all the attention on Texas is on the Dallas Cowboys, meaning Mike McCarthy, for some reasons, on the hot seat already. But good news, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, Mike McCarthy, it's kind of like when coaches say, he's in the best shape of his life. Came out and said that this particular Cowboy team is really competitive. Listen to Coach McCarthy.
I think the competitive spirit of the team is higher than I've ever seen it in my 4 years here. I thought last year we hit the standard we needed to. I thought we were up and down at 21. 2020 is a little bit of a blur because there was so much that went on that year. So I think the competitive spirit of the team, you can see it from day one in training camp, and they've been very, very consistent with it.
So he basically said each year he's been the Cowboys head coach, the competitive spirit got better. Because 2021 was a blur, 21 was up and down. Last year I thought was the best I've ever seen. But this team is even bigger than last year's team.
He is specifically referencing the quarterback being called the B word by the secondary. That is the competitive spirit that he's seen that I have not seen. Oh, here it is. So when you have Diggs completely disrespecting your quarterback, I guess that's what translates to competitive spirit.
That is competitive. You ever hear a defensive player call your starting quarterback B?
It was quite common on Wednesdays in particular. But listen, I play. Michael Parsons reminds me a lot of James Harrison. And one thing James Harrison had was on practice, he played like it was the AFC Championship 3rd and 2 with the city on his back. That was the type of level of intensity he played with. So naturally, it wasn't just a Wednesday rep or a Thursday rep. You had a guy really trying to make a play, getting after it. So that heightened the offense, that heightened the defense, and it became contagious. So this is what Michael Parsons is doing. He goes, listen, at the end of the day, enough with the offense and what Dak can do. This is about the defense. They have Dan Quinn, who is phenomenal. By the way, Dan Quinn recruited me to Hopkins, so I got a special love for him. You talk about Tavon Diggs. You talk about Michael Parsons. The power shift is now happening to say, man, enough with the excuses. Back-to-back losses against the Niners in the playoffs. At some point, it has to be on us. This defense can get after the passer, and they believe in pressure. So it's no longer about what the offense can do. It's about what this defense needs to do, and it starts with Michael Parsons.
I don't disagree with you on that. I guess the question, Greg, then is the defense good enough to carry the Dallas Cowboys? Because for years it was the great offensive line, right?
Yep.
Lots of protection, Ezekiel Elliott, that kind of thing. So if there is that shift that now we're led by our defense, is the defense good enough to do that?
Yeah, the defense is. It's you don't like this, but they have to be able to play complementary football.
I love that.
It's not. No one talks that way.
We do talk that way. Look, it's a true reality down in Dallas. You hit the nail on the head. Like it's. I've been saying this all season, all long. It's about the defense. They're no longer driven by what Dak Prescott does offensively unless he's putting them in harm's way. Micah Parsons, he sets the tone for this team. That is why we hear Mike McCarthy talk about competitive spirit. And I'm not one to do coach speak, but when Micah Parsons can put it on field and on tape every single time and back it up, that's going to be, as you pointed out, contagious to every other guy that lines up.
This is not a team with a first or second year quarterback like in San Francisco. They're saying right now for Brock Purdy. Just don't be the reason we lose. Manage the game. You got plenty of weapons around you. Just be a manager, right? Dallas, maybe I'm wrong, is not saying that to Dak Prescott. They're not expecting Dak Prescott to just be like a go-along, get-along guy, manage the game, don't make any mistakes at all, and our defense will carry you. They expect Dak Prescott to be a 4,000-yard quarterback.
They do. However, it's an unspoken thing. Like, the clip we just showed about Trayvon Diggs calling Dak all of that on the practice field, that's their way of saying, look, don't mess this up. We got something special.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen it. You've gone into training camps, into regular seasons, understanding the type of team that you have and understanding that we have a chance with this personnel that we completely have right now. The only way we beat ourselves is by doing just that. We beat ourselves, and that's Dak Prescott for this Dallas Cowboys.
And Greg's 100% right. If you're this defense who we know can be really good, what do they do really well? They finish games. They close out games. So it doesn't matter what Dak does in the fourth quarter. Dak, you give us 7 on the board, it's over. That's how you step up.
Unless he turns the ball over.
Unless he turns the ball over. But to what Greg is saying, he goes, the contagiousness comes with a swagger. It comes with imposing your will. And it comes with telling your offense, like, hey, man, don't blow it. All right? Like, we got to win this game. Don't blow it.
Right.
And be able to respond to that. So I like
in a weird way, they are asking the offense to manage and not make the big
and that's
mistake.
Okay.
This is what we see from Dak Prescott this preseason. Interception. Then what we hear, Jerry Jones be like, we're trying to give Dak less to do.
Yeah.
And what's the next thing that we heard from Dak? I'm just trying to get the ball to my playmakers, not the other team. Like, every indication that we're getting from this group, this highly competitive group, what coach is not going to say their team is competitive, is that they want Dak to do less. They want to limit Dak. They want to limit his mistakes because the defense is
so sounds like the whole lot of them need therapy. I don't know. I can tell you this, Mike McCarthy, in his first 50 games as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, is 30-20. But he's a terrible coach. Has no idea what he's doing.
I like Mike McCarthy.
I hate that narrative. I'm a big fan of Mike McCarthy's. By the way, from the Dallas Cowboys to my main man and colleague, Tom Brady, who has his own podcast, he was talking about my guy right there, the greatest number 8 to ever play football, Aaron Rodgers. And it's just another example of why this is going to be such a special year for the New York Jets. Tom Brady said, because he experienced it, it's like you go through a lot of years in one place. There's a lot of mental scar tissue. Maybe you hated a teammate. Ooh. Maybe you didn't like your coach.
Spicy?
Maybe you hated a GM named Kuntz. I don't know what it is.
We're no longer quoting, but sure.
But then the freedom of going to a new franchise, and there's none of that bad will.
Well, this is the difference. Aaron Rodgers had to come here and perform some surgery, right? He had to talk life into Mekhi Becton. He had to revamp Zach Wilson, tell him you didn't suck. You just need some training. I got you. We got Woody Johnson wearing chairs. We talked about that. We went to training camp. You've been there. You guys have been there. There's stadium stands, right? Like this. It looks like Disney World for the Jets. He's also done a great job of leading by example, being on time. Some of the chaotic things and toxic things you heard coming out of Jets, those no longer exist because of Aaron Rodgers. Tom Brady had to show up and be Tom Brady. Everything was set. He had a defense, he had a receiving core, he had a GM and Jason Light who loved him, who was with him with the Patriots. So he had to come in and be the GOAT, and he was. Aaron Rodgers has thus far bared more than what Tom Brady had done.
Yeah, because there's a stigma around the New York Jets that Tampa didn't have. Let me just give you one other quick quote from that podcast. Tom Brady, this is the thing that really made me happy last night before I went to bed. He said, listen, when Aaron's got receivers, it's pretty dangerous. I, the greatest quarterback of all time, think he's going to have a great year from your mouth to God's ears, big fella. And I agree with Tom Brady, Greg.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a really good year. Look, it all started when he first arrived. Like, his posture shifted. Like, in Green Bay, we saw him being a little disgruntled. He wasn't enjoying it any longer. He didn't go to the offseason programs. All those things matter. When he came here, it was like, okay, not only are they going to get a new Aaron Rodgers because this is what I want to provide them, but I got to be different. I got to provide myself with a different type of approach and experience, and that's what he's done. Yeah. He's done everything right. We've talked about this all leading up to this point. This is why you set the stage and you set the table so that you can have everyone come to the table and then eat off whatever it is that you spew out.
It's also funny, in the last 2 months, because of how he is, kind of quote-unquote behaved, right? Personality-wise, his time, being there, all that stuff, hanging out with the younger guys, there has not been a single story or comment about darkness retreats, about ayahuasca, or his dating life, other than the one I bring up because he's dating a billionaire, my man, or about him being aloof and not one of the guys. He has changed the entire narrative that we all had, having never been around him for the last decade.
Well, go ahead.
He's made it all about football.
Yep.
Well,
and Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Well,
and the U.S. Open.
Well, Craig, to your
and Broadway.
And Shucks, yeah.
And the Knicks. And the Ravens.
But he has been with
Wicked.
teammates.
It was about that.
Wicked,
too,
yeah.
But he also had to come to New York and sell Aaron Rodgers all over again, which is tough. He had to your point, go to the Knicks games, Taylor Swift, eat the pizza, kiss babies. He had to be on the scene. Brady didn't have to do that. Brady rided up in his plan and said, hey, it's me, let's go win a Super Bowl.
Right.
When you come to a city, you have to sell yourself to a fan base, a media market who's ready to destroy you. I thought he's done a hell of a job thus far.
He also had to build all those relationships. Every time you see him at these events, who is he with? He's with different teammates.
Correct.
Last time it was CJ and Randall Cobb. Remember, he was going to Knicks games with Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. And then you watch Hard Knocks, and he didn't just have lunch with Mekhi Becton, someone who needed, a little something.
In case you near Mekhi, only one guy ate lunch.
Yeah, exactly. He made it a weekly thing with Mekhi Becton. Like he's investing his time and energy into this team in a way that I think will be successful. And to your point, in a way that Tom Brady didn't really have to.
Correct.
Yeah, because Aaron is coming into a reclamation project. Tom Brady's coming into sort of like a furnished home that he needs
plug
to live
and play.
in.
Yep.
The Jets were not a reclamation project. They were 7-4 last year and didn't have a quarterback.
No, well,
all the other pieces
Craig,
are right there.
This is a team that couldn't score a touchdown the last 2 games of the
When's the
season.
last time you were in the playoffs? When's the last time you were in the playoffs?
Didn't.
That's
have
the last
time you were in the
a
playoffs.
Quarterback.
When was the last time you were in the playoffs winning games?
All right, listen, we got lots more coming your well, including a field storming, which I always like showing. We've also got the latest on why Daniel Jones hates Saquon Barkley. And oh, by the way, the Buffalo Bills have been really good, but is the run over? Answer that after this on FS1. How about that last night? How about that?
Where's Dabo? Where's
That's
Dabo?
the Duke Blue Devils. They played Clemson last night. Clemson, a top 10 team, favored by 12. And Duke took care of business at home. Their biggest win in a quarter of a century.
I love it. Brains and football, all on one field. Why not?
No, it was great to watch because Dabo just spent the entire time with this incredulous look on his face. He was just like, what? He's trying to throw the red flag? Like, how's this work?
Am I right? Was it close?
No, they
it
scored
wasn't.
one touchdown.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It was 6-7 at the half, and then in the second half, Duke just blew it wide open.
I know there are people that are against those types of celebrations, but it's awesome.
Who are those people? Who are those people?
Like the guy, like the old man on the lawn. Get off my lawn, kids! It's awesome. It's organic.
safe.
It's real. It's great.
I've never been able to do that. I've always wanted to have a win where it was a signature win and the fans just stormed the crowd. I don't know if you've had that experience.
Yeah, I don't have football anymore. They canceled my program, so I don't.
Hofstra.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they have a field, but they don't have a program.
Yeah, they canceled Hofstra.
Yeah, well, the graduates didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe
if only they had some support
Done, man.
from their multimillionaire, alumni.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here, guys. Thanks for that.
All right, from there, let's go to our favorite Tuesday segment, although some we like to call Yeah, But. All right, here we go. This is your first time doing it, Willie.
Okay.
Try not to mess it up. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills have won 3 consecutive AFC East titles, and yeah, they've got Josh Allen, and yeah, Stephon Diggs was just named the captain. But week 1, they play against the best defense since the '85 Bears. They go 0-1.
0-1 because the New York Jets are ready, and they're ready to get it done against the Buffalo Bills. Listen, I understand they've done it they've been way more consistent. But look at Craig Wilson get after the dunk. Absolute dunk. He hurt himself.
That might just change my pick.
I think week 1, Jets, Buffalo Bills, Sauce Gardner, the whole squad, Aaron Rodgers, new team, new time, new era. Jets will win the division this year. Book it.
And here's what I love about it. The majority of America is anti-Jet. Greg Jennings, 71% of all the money wagered on this game has been wagered on the Buffalo Bills. And you're, not that you wager, but you agree with the public. Dumb.
I'm anti-Jet simply because of you.
So you like
You're not anti-Jet, you're anti-Craig.
I want to like the Jets, but I can't like the Jets because of Craig.
Why not?
That's why. You're too obnoxious. But for me, look, we make it seem like every year a team has to be a Super Bowl contending team, or we have to talk about them in the era of they're going to win a Super Bowl. That's why we feel like the window is closing. Now, do I agree with the window is closing a little bit on the Bills? I do.
Yes,
because everybody is getting better in that AFC conference. However, this doesn't change anything for the division for me. Like, the Buffalo Bills are the team to beat until you can beat them. It was like the New England Patriots. Until you beat them and prove that you are better than them, they are the team to beat. And so I don't see them just lying down and allowing Aaron Rodgers to come into.
I want to be clear. I'm not saying they're going to lie down. I'm not saying we're going to beat them 45-0 either. And to be fair, Robert Saleh and the Jets have all come out and said they're the current champions. We need to beat them to claim the the title of best team in the AFC. So I respect that. But the Jets are something that they haven't been in a long time. They're a complete team. They're a complete team.
Yes, no, they are.
They are.
They are. So are the Bills. And there's 2 things to discuss. There's Monday night's game, and then there's the division. I think Monday night's game is going to be a close game. I think the Bills will win personally. I am a gambling person. I look forward to gambling on the Bills to win. And then there's the division. And the division's a different conversation because over the course of 17 games, you don't really know what is going to happen. But we do know this, that there is going to be one of these 2 teams on Tuesday morning on this program is going to do some serious soul searching and looking in the mirror and say, who are we and what are we doing and what is the rest of this season going to be like?
I couldn't have more confidence in the outcome of this game. It's going to be all Jets all night. It's a Monday night game.
So you said they weren't going to win 45-0. It was 45-3.
Well, whatever. 45-6.
It's going to be a
late field goal. All right, second one. Yeah, the Chiefs are favorites. Okay, sure. And yeah, they do have Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, they have Travis Kelce. And yeah, they still have Andy Reid. But they're probably playing the Lions without Chris Jones. They don't have a top 25 running back. They don't have a top 25 wide receiver. And their defense without Chris Jones is average at best.
Yeah, I don't think he's showing up. I think he's committed. What he said on Twitter is 100% right. He's not going to, until they offer him the bag or get the money he's ready for or wants, he's not going to show up to week 8. I think he's committed with that. And you're right. Without him on the field, the Chiefs' defense is average.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think they're average. I don't care about any of the part that you mentioned on the offense side of the ball because they have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So you can erase that. This is solely about their defense. Will their defense be able to step up to the plate with the absence of Chris Jones? We will see. I don't believe that they will be able to because you've alluded to this time and time again. He's been their closer.
He's a closer.
They don't have that guy anymore.
Nope. Best in the league in the fourth quarter in sacks and hurries and tackles for losses.
This is a great segment for the Chiefs because we all know how good the Chiefs are. They just won the Super Bowl. The but is Chris Jones isn't playing for them now. I expect him to eventually. He loses $1 million a week by not playing.
Say he got it.
So even if he gets another $5 million, If it takes them 5 weeks to get there, that's nothing.
wash, right.
And they've proven that not having a top 25 wide receiver, top 25 running back does not matter. Last year, they won without it.
Yeah, no, they did. I can't argue it, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year without Chris Jones on the field. All right, number 3. Yeah! The New York Giants went to the playoffs last year, and yeah, they locked up Daniel Jones long term. But how come he hates Saquon Barkley?
He doesn't hate Saquon.
And how are they going to win with those two guys not getting along with one another? Daniel Jones restructured his contract yesterday, saved the Giants about $8 million, $6, $7 million, $8 million under the cap. He gets more bonus up front. And the question, of course, Greg Jennings, is if he was willing to do it, why didn't he do it when Saquon Barkley was twisting in the wind looking for a measly couple $100,000?
No, that's not the question. The question is, why do you so desperately want the New York Giants to fight within each other? Because you're a Jets fan, and you just want to see them go back to back and say, "Oh, Daniel Jones has an issue with Saquon." No, he does not.
Yes,
Saquon is in the building. Saquon, you talked about it. The running back market is what it is. Daniel Jones is a top 8 quarterback. It is what it is. They're going to be a great team.
He's not a good leader.
They're arguably the best. To date, they are the best team in New York playing football.
Now you're being disrespectful. Now it's time.
By the way, Saquon Barkley didn't tell me that he's never having Daniel Jones over his house for barbecue. That never happened. But I'm telling you as a fact, as his spokesperson, you're not welcome.
You're not
a
spokesperson.
That's right. If you're willing to take the pay cut, to restructure your deal. You're not taking a nickel less, but you make it better for the Giants so they have more wiggle room to sign guys. Why didn't you do it when the most important guy on the offense with you was twisting out there publicly? It's a bad look, and that's how you lose the locker room.
No.
Take it from a guy that lived in locker rooms.
That's not how it works.
That's not at all.
Simply not how it
Nothing
works.
close to that.
No.
No. When you're Daniel Jones, once I stated, he got the bag. It's about him being the best and being the most prepared on the team with or without Saquon Barkley. I don't think he wanted to touch his pockets. Saquon, the whole running back market, that had to work out for himself.
He's not taking less. He restructured it
to
allow the
Craig,
Giants to
I know
spend
you
more.
know this, that Daniel Jones getting paid did not stop Saquon Barkley from getting paid. Those are not, those events are not related. They're not related at all.
You're wrong on that. I'm sorry. It's okay to be wrong on this show. I do it frequently.
Yes,
I
like
don't want to belabor this point because they're yelling at me, move on. This is very important. It's the Giants. It's very important, right? Listen, the next 2 years, Daniel Jones is getting $82 million guaranteed. Great for him. I don't begrudge that at all. If, however, he was a good man and a leader and cared about his running back, he simply would have said,
cut it out.
I'll take
Do you think they would have paid
80.
Saquon $15 million a year if Daniel Jones restructures? That's not how it
would have
works.
given him an extra
He's getting his deal that he got regardless
He's
of
a
what other
selfish
players get paid.
bastard is what
They
he
are
is.
mutually exclusive events. They are not related to each other whatsoever.
I
I
hate
know
to
you
say
know
this.
that.
The
I
New
know
York
you know
Giants
that.
just got eliminated from the playoffs today.
Oh, they did?
Oh.
Because if
You
I'm
hate to see it.
Because Daniel Jones restructured his deal that made it possible for them to sign someone else later, they are now no longer eligible for the playoffs.
That's not exactly A to B, but yes,
Okay,
fair enough.
good.
That's
I see
right.
the logic line
Because if
now.
I'm
Makes no
Saquon
sense.
Barkley and I'm lined up behind Danny Jones, the whole time I'm like, give me a shiv.
Yeah, but you're not
Someone
Saquon
give
Barkley.
me a knife. That's all. Because he did it to me. I'm doing it back to him, Greg Jennings. You know
They'll
what I'm
be
talking
Giants
about.
will be just fine.
Move on. Go, I'm with the producers.
I feel bad for Giants fans, too. I feel terrible for you. I really want you guys to have a good season.
It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard.
All right, where am I now? Oh, yeah. The New York Yankees swept the Houston Astros. And
I'm not giving up.
Yeah, you are. You gave up, dog. You gave
Hell of
up.
a win by the Yankees.
Why are you lying today?
The Martian, love them. Need more of them. You know we're 8 games behind?
Well, that's the butt.
That's the butt. Right. So,
the butt part is,
what do you?
yeah, we swept. It's, by the way, it's the first time we've swept the Astros in a decade. And every other time we played them, we need the sweetness.
It's never over until
It's not. You're
over.
not.
We got
You're
a lot
not
of games, a lot of season left, boys.
mathematically eliminated.
One thing they admitted to was playing looser. They're having fun.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
relaxed. That's why they swept the A's. I'm not giving up, man.
You can't play loose when nothing
When
matters
it does
anymore.
not matter.
They've got 27 games left.
Yep.
If they go 22-5, if they make the
What about 27-0? 27-0.
All I hear is we got a chance.
That'd be greedy. I would not say
26.
We got a chance.
But 22-5?
That's nothing, baby. Keep swinging until you're happy. Why not?
I don't know why we stuck with that.
It's all hate, by the way.
Yeah, it's all hate. Daniel Jones hates Saquon. The Yankees are going to the playoffs.
And they're
What's happening today?
The final one comes from our executive producer who hates the New York Jets. He wants me to say to you, yeah, Aaron Rodgers gives the Jets a legitimate chance. And yeah, Garrett Wilson is a phenomenal wide receiver. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers has done everything right since he got here. Well, who are we kidding ourselves, folks? It's been 12 years since he even made it to a Super Bowl. Ooh. I don't agree with that one. And this will break the schneid, is what it will. This will end that terrible streak of not having the greatest quarterback in our lifetime, not named Tom Brady, playing in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think he's won. We talked about how happy he's won over New York. The locker room loves him. The building loves him. And Woody Johnson and company. He seems like he's in a better spirit, not just because of the mushrooms he eats. It's good to have a happy quarterback playing in a market that loves him. He will be better.
And by the way, the playoff thing, the only thing that matters there, I know wins and losses is really the only thing that matters, but sometimes when you have a bad defense, you lose games to guys like Jimmy Garoppolo in your own building, which doesn't make any sense at all. But 32-10, he's done his job, Greg.
So here's where I have to stay on.
32-10, Greg.
The stats don't lie. Look, I'm excited about the. I hate to even say it.
Just get it out.
I'm excited about what the Jets have the potential to be.
Okay.
Yes.
However,
this is growth.
The regular season means absolutely nothing.
Oh, it means something.
No, it means absolutely nothing.
Disagree
it
there.
means absolutely
It means a lot.
nothing. Because once I believe they're going to make the playoffs, when they get into the playoffs, all of what you did in the regular season, I don't care about. It's about what can you deliver now. Yes, I believe in that defense. Do I believe in this offense? Gotta see it. Gotta see it. I don't care what
you're gonna see it.
I gotta see it. I know what Aaron Rodgers has been. I know what he's done. But
You gotta see it in
done
New
it in
York.
a long time.
We got much more coming up.
butted back to the butt.
Yeah.
Double butt.
We got the two
butt.
teams that are most highly wagered on to win week one. And we've got Bill Belichick talking about Smacky Jones. It's all coming up right after this on FS1. Welcome back to the Carton Show. That's David Jacoby over there in the corner. That's Greg Jennings, Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champ. And my main man to my left, Willie Colon from the Bronx.
Yes.
New York City Super Bowl champ with the Steelers and, of course, played with the New York Jets. Before we get to first in football, I found it interesting that the two teams that the wagering public believes the most in when it comes to the point spread, and if you are going to gamble, please gamble responsibly and recreationally. And if you do feel like you have a problem, definitely call a friend at 1-800-GAMBLER. But those two teams, amazingly, the Jaguars over the Colts and the Eagles, that spread's actually gone up to 4 right now. But I understand why people are in love with the Eagles playing against New England. I'm just trying to figure out why the number's so low. But those are your two teams.
Both those numbers are going to change.
85% of the wagers made are on those two teams to win and cover the spread in week one. And with that, we bring you First in Football.
First down, first in football, we have, gentlemen, the head coach of a team we just spoke about, Bill Belichick, head coach of the Patriots, doesn't always heap praise upon Mac Jones, but as we enter the season, he had some nice things to say about his head quarterback.
Comes to work every day, comes in early, stays late, works hard, understands the offense, how it works, how to get his teammates involved, how to help them be productive. So he's had a really good, good stretch here in training camp and had a good spring to, propel himself into this time period. So it's been pretty consistent all the way through.
First off, we're not letting you get away with calling him the head quarterback. That's
He's the head quarterback, the lead quarterback one, head quarterback.
And secondly,
he was the only quarterback 2 days ago.
What's crazy about that from Belichick, in my opinion, is that he refused to name him his starting quarterback the entire summer, right? I don't know who it's going to be. It's a competition. Bailey's happy, blah, 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 blah. And now all of a sudden, I think it dawned on Bill Belichick, hey, guys, give me the depth chart. No, I want all the... Oh, there's only one.
There's only one.
So now he's reverted to beat down, build back up, which is a Belichick and a Bill Parcells type of move.
Yeah, I think Mac Jones is going to go back to basics. We're going to get the Mac Jones that we saw when he left Alabama, won a national championship, came into his first year, was a Pro Bowler, was absolutely amazing. Now, last year, he was atrocious. I think it was just so much discord. Now that he has Bill O'Brien, they're on the same page. Belichick, they're going back to basics. It's going to be dink and dunk football, a heavy load of Zeke Elliott, Rondé Stevenson, and they're going to rely on his defense to win them a lot of games. I don't see a lot of Mac Jones being a world beater.
Yep.
He's going to manage a lot of games that let this defense win the game.
You're going to see a lot of games in the teens, score-wise, too.
Yeah.
They're going to play a lot of close games because the defense is going to be pretty good.
Bill O'Brien will make a difference as well. All right, moving on to the Panthers. Frank Reich, the head coach of the Panthers, talking about that man right there, Brian Burns, his edge rusher, who is in camp. But wait, there might be a contract issue. Here is head coach of the Panthers.
My view of Brian Burns doesn't diminish at all. I mean, we understand there's a business side to this, to this thing we do, and I still respect and admire the way he's handled himself, and so I have nothing but the highest regard for Brian Burns.
Look, they open up against the Falcons. That's actually a winnable game because we don't know about the Falcons' offense all just yet. To be fair, it's a major question mark. And listen, I'm always a player guy when it comes to money because you guys have been screwed for a very, very long time when it comes to money and guaranteed money. But he is a vital piece of that Panther defense. And if we all agree that the offense is going to struggle, A, because you have a young quarterback who's just going to struggle, because that's what young quarterbacks do, and they're not going to score a lot of points, you better have this kid on the field, because if he ain't on the field, you don't have a lot of guys that you can name right now that are going to make that defense plausible.
Yeah, and to your point, listen, he's not being on a bad team. He's not complaining, get me out of the building. He's not saying none of that. He goes, listen, I'm down for the Carolina Panthers. I just want to be rewarded. I've been consistent. I've been the leader. Now it's time to pay up.
And you should know that he is in the fifth-year option of his original rookie contract, and he's making about $16 million, which is great. And he's not complaining about the first contract or the fact that they picked up the fifth-year option. Hey, I don't want to play a season lame duck. Because I know guys get hurt, I might get hurt. And while $16 million is obviously a great amount of money for a linebacker to make in the NFL, I'm your best defensive player. You got to pay me.
And there you go. He's their best player right now. When you look at what they don't have in the rookie that they're starting at quarterback, like they're going to be relying a lot on him and that defense to get stops, to get pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And if he's not out there, which we talked about Chris Jones holding in, this is why it makes it hard because your teammates see you in the building. You feel a pull from them naturally to go out there and help and assist. But the business side of things always come to the forefront when you're trying to make a couple extra dollars.
And it raises the question, is it better to hold out or to hold in? We'll see how this one plays out. We have some news from Jacksonville. We have Christian Kirk, a wide receiver who was there last year and this year, and talks about the difference in expectations between the two seasons as we head into week one.
That's the difference is now there are expectations for us. Last year there wasn't any expectations. So, people kind of started raising eyebrows when we were winning games last year. Now people are just going to expect us to do that. So for us, it's just going out there and, playing to our standard and playing to, our ability and just taking it 1 week at a time, not being able to lose that edge and lose, what got us to where we were last year.
I disagree with part of that. There were expectations on Trevor Lawrence to make the steps from year one to year two. Christian Kirk had a great year with 84 catches, 1,100 yards, almost had 10 touchdowns. And now you add Calvin Ridley, obviously, to that offense. He is right. Because of that great second half and winning a playoff game, similar to the Giants, actually, you now raise the bar. You can't go backwards, meaning this team has to win their division this year. They have to host a playoff game again, win a playoff game again, and go beyond that. But I think there are fair expectations that this is going to be a very good offensive team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team that lost to KC by a touchdown, right? You mentioned Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, now Christian Kirk. There is an expectation because now it's time to put up points and put up points in high value, led by Trevor Lawrence. This defense is on par. So, yeah, the expectation is, hey, we're used to the toxic or maybe subpar Jaguars. Now that we got an all-world quarterback, now it's time to win some games and go deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, they also benefit from the fact that they're in a lousy division, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I expect the rest rest of the division to be bad. That's my expectations for the Jaguars.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're going to win that division?
I guess.
Someone has to.
Do you even get a prize for that?
You have the best quarterback in that division. You have, like, to your point, like Trevor Lawrence made a step. We all saw it. We witnessed it. Now, in my opinion, looking at the guy that was talking on the screen, Christian Kirk, he moves to a better position that suits their offense, which is the number 2 guy, which is where he's going to thrive because Calvin Ridley's going to be their number 1 guy. So all things are trending in the right direction. It's a matter of now you have to match that with wins.
We got mid-show headlines coming up, but just one thing real quick on that division. And I want to say hi to the people in Tennessee. Do not sleep on the Titans. They are not just going to disappear and lay down and hand the division over to Jacksonville because people on TV say they're going to win it. Don't sleep on my boy Vrabel or on Tennessee. They are going to be a dog.
Who's winning the division?
Okay. Mid-show headlines coming up. Daniel Jones apparently hates Saquon Barkley, and Tom Brady says Aaron Rodgers is going to bring a Super Bowl to New York. Love it.
Welcome back to the Carton Show. We have your headlines, and we start with this. Craig, you've said some crazy things about the Jets defense this year.
Yeah.
You've compared them to the 85 Bears.
Yeah,
guess what?
Better than.
You're not alone. Cornerback TJ Reed must watch the show. Let's listen to the cornerback.
Honestly, I think we could be historical. Not just the best defense in the league, but I think we could have an historical defense like the 85-86 Bears, like the LOB in 2013. I think we could be that dominant if we put all the things together and we just focus on the now and we're deliberate and everyone plays up to their potential. I think the sky's the limit for us.
He's dead right. I've been saying it for a long time. The LOB means Legion of Boom, of course, that great Seattle defense with our colleague Richard Sherman and that whole crew. But he's right. I mean, the only thing they didn't do well last year was create turnovers, to be fair. They were top 5 in every category and in the bottom third when it came to turnovers. So by default, you almost have to think that's going to be a better number for them, especially with the amount of pressure they're going to get on the quarterback this year. They also have, arguably, the deepest defensive line in the game in a long time.
Well, I got to say this. Last year was last year, and they were phenomenal. This year's a new year. They got a tough 8 games, man. This
out of the gate.
Right out the gate. And this is a defense that has a lot of questions in my eyes. They lost their safety that they acquired from Baltimore Ravens and Chuck Clark. He's gone. He went down with an ACL injury. You talk about the supporting cast, Jermaine Johnson, Shaq Lawson, all these other guys now have to bring it up. You talk about Buffalo right out the gate. You talk about Dallas. We talked about their defense and Michael Parsons. You talk about the Patriots who's going to have a great defense. Patrick Mahomes, obviously Broncos, who knows what they're going to be. Sure. Eagles right out the back. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy. Can they be world beaters? We're going to see. We're going to see if they're going to be historic. Right now, I think they're going to be good, but not historic. I think they still got a lot of woes and things they got to iron.
Last year, they only gave up like 2 passing touchdowns the whole year. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it wasn't much more than that. So, although you see a lot of great quarterbacks that they are going to be playing against, Justin Herbert's in there, obviously Mahomes is in there. Their pass defense was lights out, Greg. Lights out.
Yeah, this is why DJ Reed can say things like this, because he understands he has the backing and the support of the guys on that defense. Like, they're not going to let him say something like this and then not back it up. Like, and even to his speaking on this, you don't just come out and say, yeah, we're going to be like the 85 Bears.
And he wasn't being arrogant.
Like, I don't think he's being arrogant. But
I don't think he knew who the 85 Bears were.
You don't speak to that unless you're hearing it. And so I say that because Robert Saleh is a defensive-minded coach. He's a defensive side of the ball type of a guy. So you're hearing this from your coach that we have a chance to be historic. I don't know if he's ever alluded to them being the 85 Bears, but
it's been said in that room for sure. Because DJ Reed, to be fair, DJ Reed was born 11 years after the 85 Bears.
He doesn't even know who the 85 Bears are.
Now, maybe he's a historian, and I respect that, but that means in those defensive meetings, Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, they are preaching that to these guys.
But I want C.J. Mosley, who's the captain of that defense, to say, hey, let's have this conversation in November. When we've gone through the first 8, when we know who we are, when we have built an identity. Don't say it before you play the Buffalo Bills on Monday night and you possibly can get dog walk, possibly not going to happen.
Talk about the defense last year, but the difference between last year and this year is they have an offense that can outscore their opponent. You know what I mean? So they're relying on their defense to win games last year. They do not necessarily need to rely on them exclusively.
Their defense was also on the field a lot more than they needed to be last year because, like you said, we didn't have a quarterback to lead us, right? So it all goes hand in hand. But listen, DJ Reed is not a big talker. For those of you that don't follow the Jets, I follow the Jets. He's a classy guy that does not do a lot of smack talking. He's probably the most unknown top cornerback in the league because Sauce Gardner's there and Q Williams, all those guys, right? So for him to say that, and when you hear it, that's why sometimes when you read things, you don't get the meaning of it or the emotion behind it. When you hear it, it's different. That, to me, did not come across as some arrogant, big-mouth guy. That was a confident kid who knows he's on a really good defense.
Yeah, there's one thing to be passionate, there's another thing to be dumb. Don't be dumb, all right? The 85 Bears are Hall of Fame, historic. I played with the 2008 championship Pittsburgh Steelers. You played on like, there's levels to this. Great defenses get turnovers. They sack the quarterback. They close games, and they dominate. They don't leave no room for error. The Jets, listen, I thought Sauce Gardner got away with a lot last year.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest.
He did.
I thought he got away with a lot. They try to compare him to Revis Island. I was like, Revis didn't play like that his first year. Revis was like, he had teach tape, so to speak. When you look at DJ Reed, I thought he was the best corner in that secondary last year.
Better than Sauce.
I thought he was better than Sauce. Quentin Williams, when he was hurt last year, that defense, they plummeted. So my point is, let's pump our brakes. It's good to be great in the preseason, but do it when it really counts. September 11 against the Buffalo Bills.
Monday Night Football. What's up? I don't know how we're going to do this show with no sleep, but we'll figure it out. Don't you worry about that.
We can handle it.
Yeah. Stay up through tonight. Nice.
Obviously, Monday night's a big game in Week 1. Also a big game Week 1. Division rivals, the Bengals and the Browns go head-to-head. The question heading into this one is, will Joe Burrow be available for the Bengals? The head coach, Zach Taylor, said they're taking it day by day, but he also said yesterday was, quote-unquote, encouraging.
What does that mean?
He's encouraged that Joe Burrow is progressing, and I believe he will play Week 1. Craig disagrees.
Look, sound the alarm. That guy ain't playing Week 1. The Cincinnati Bengals get off to an 0-2 start in the division. They lose to the Browns. They lose to the Ravens. Panic sets in, and then Joe Burrow comes back for Week 3. And it's very simple. Look. He's your franchise. Oh, they'll beat the Rams. The Rams suck. Tennessee. Don't sleep on Tennessee, as I've said before. But here's the deal. He's your franchise quarterback. He's the only guy that hasn't gotten the big money yet. Obviously, that's coming any day now, you'd think, or certainly very, very soon. There's no reason not to say he's not starting unless he's not starting. So you come out and go, he made encouraging strides today. He's well on his way. He looks fantastic. He's in the best shape of his life. All that kind of nonsense, he ain't playing Week 1.
Yeah, and I don't need him to play Week 1 if he's not 100%.
Lose to the Browns Week 1.
We heard his number one receiver, Jamar Chase, talk about, I don't want him to come back until after Week 5 or whatever that was.
Until you're 0-4.
Like, but to his point, he understands this is not a right now Week 1 win or go home situation.
No, it's not.
And so if that's the case, why would you put your quarterback, if he's not 100% healthy, the face of your franchise in harm's way? You shouldn't do it.
Let me make sure I'm clear, though, because I respect what you're saying and I don't disagree with you. If he's hurt, he doesn't play. My point is, I don't think he's healthy. I don't think he's playing because I don't think he's healthy, and I agree 100%. If that calf isn't right and he can't protect himself, get out of the pocket and those things, he should not play. But then the results of that are, blood in the water. If you empower the Cleveland Browns Week 1 and they win in front of their home crowd, big division win, that'd be the biggest regular season win for the Browns in 5 years. All of a sudden, the yak is wounded. I can go get him. And that's what's going to happen.
Well, the only balance I see is they do have Orlando Brown Jr., the best pass blocking left tackle in the league. They do have Jonah Hill, who played left, moved to the right. So they're going to keep Burrow upright. They understand. I know from an offensive line standpoint, when you get to your point, you got a wounded quarterback, your heightened sensitivity, like, hey, man, it's all or nothing. We got to keep him upright. We got to keep him protected. We got to lay it out there for him. Not that you wouldn't do it any other Sunday, but it's just a different feeling. Because now, if he gets hurt and it's you that missed the block, well, now you're talking about employment, right? Because to your point, he's the face of the franchise. So I'm okay with him playing Week 1.
He's playing.
But I also, you can dodge one, right? Because you do have Baltimore the next week. So you could be And the Browns, they get after it.
There's nothing that I've heard or seen that indicates he's not playing.
No, it's not there. Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
Well,
he
the
just said
coach
it.
didn't say he's playing.
The coach said, the offense coordinator said there's a plan in place.
That was 2 weeks
for him
ago.
that was 2 days ago.
No, it's like at least a week and a half ago.
There's a plan in place for him to play week 1.
He's not playing.
Okay, and then he said
you have to
yesterday
own that.
practice was encouraging. He's
go
playing
back
in
to
practice
what-
with no sleeve on his calf, and he's throwing
That
the
was a
ball.
photo op.
Why would he not play?
But go back to what Greg was saying. Greg made a great point, saying, meaning, man, it's all strategy. You got to keep make him an enigma. All the tales are telling you he's going to play is really saying that he may not play. So on the opposite side, I'm like, well, we got to prepare for it all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't know where he's at. And if you're the Browns, it does make you nervous that there's a question mark around him.
And if you're the coaching staff, you wouldn't be doing your job if you don't have a plan in place for Joe Burrow to be playing. Like, what? So that's not news. Like, yeah, he's the face of that franchise, and if there's any possibility that you're going to play him, there better be a plan for Joe Burrow to be.
I can't be clear about this. He's not playing week 1.
I don't think he's playing week
it's so
1 either.
Simple. And the coach is essentially telling you that without telling you that. The question is, if they lose to Cleveland, which they will with Jake Browning as quarterback, no disrespect, but you're not an NFL quarterback, and the Cleveland Browns, like Myles Garrett, can't wait for Jake Browning to be the starting quarterback week 1 in front of the dog pound. And then you play the Ravens, a team that's loaded with playoff revenge coming up off of last year. Now you're 0-2. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't show up in week 3 and kill it and they run off 4 straight wins. They're good enough to do it. But I'm telling you right now, blood in the water. Cleveland Browns win game 1.
Yeah, I think if Burrow wants to play, he's going to play.
What you got there, Jacob?
He's going to play. Moving on. Daniel Jones, quarterback
Yes.
of the
Hate
Giants,
Saquon Barkley.
signed a huge deal this offseason. But yesterday, he restructured that deal to free up about $6 million in cap space for
sign
the
who?
Giants. And my good friend Craig Carton thinks that's because
he's a bad guy. He's a selfish, me
There you
first,
go.
money hungry quarterback.
There you go.
Like
There you
most
go.
of them
There it
are.
is.
But when the best player on the New York Giants is publicly twisting in the wind, going, "Please, sir, may I have some more?" And the Giants are like, "No." Danny Jones, I'm telling you how it works, could have gone in to John Mara's office, the owner of the New York Giants.
And so what?
And Joe Shane, the GM, said, "Look, I need Saquon behind me. Saquon Barkley is the reason I just got my contract. I'm willing to restructure it to get him a couple million more."
No.
But he didn't do it.
That's not how it works.
And I'm telling you, I know guys say it's a problem.
Look, number one, it's not a problem. But I love the fact that this has happened because you said something yesterday, and I had a different team. You said Mike Evans, I would love to see him with the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, we're now seeing that Saquon or Daniel Jones is restructured.
That's right.
You're creating some space.
Yeah.
Wonder why. Wonder why.
Yeah, not because Mike Evans.
Look, it's a real possibility when you think about what they're trying to do and establish pieces around Daniel Jones. They've been doing it all offseason, so why would you not create more space for a guy who's not getting extended down in Tampa Bay, who we know Baker's not going to do anything with him? So, I mean, create space for opportunity.
It's a very fair query, and I'm glad you asked. There's an answer. Because Tom Brady called Mike Evans and said, "Aaron Rodgers."
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, Tom Brady.
That's why.
I'm sorry. Tom Brady called Mike Evans.
That's right, because
and
they're friends.
said- and
They're good
said,
friends.
They know each other.
And he said, "If you're going to leave, Aaron Rodgers wants you."
So wait, Craig.
Aaron can't do because it's Tampa.
I forgot. Is there
Tom can do whatever the hell he wants.
Daniel Jones restructured his contract yesterday. Is there another quarterback in New York that also restructured his?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Oh.
right. His name is Aaron Rodgers.
And the reason he
and
didn't
as
do
a
it-
result, I got Dalvin Cook. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers.
There you go.
That's how you do things to get people paid.
But also, we also realize Daniel Jones is the type of quarterback that doesn't have an ego. When you watch him play, there's nothing he's not willing to do to make sure the Giants end up on the field with a W.
All I'm
I
saying
love
is
him.
this.
He's amazing. No ego, all leader.
You know, ego. He took $82 million guaranteed.
Stop it.
Come on,
when he
stop it.
could
What quarterback?
What
What
did
did he
and
say?
got
What did you
Saquon a
stop it?
couple extra
No.
dollars.
I don't know if you believe.
Look, I'm
what
trying
you're
to catch his pass right here.
Yeah.
I'll do it for you, New York.
And took the hit. That's $82 million right there.
I love you, Saquon.
That's $82 million right there.
Oh, that's the quarterback you want.
Give me 8 other quarterbacks that's making that catch like that. You can't.
One hand.
You can't. You can't do it.
I just want to remind everybody that Craig Jennings said that Daniel Jones is a top
Running up
8
Broadway,
quarterback.
baby.
Top 8 quarterback.
Told me that Jake Browning can make that catch.
With his left hand.
I love you, New York. Ow!
Moving on to 4th and football. We talked about Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. Here's our last headline.
Yeah, do it again.
Here's what Tom Brady said about Aaron Rodgers and changing teams his career. Quote, so it's like you go through a lot of years in one place, and there's a lot of, I would say, mental scar tissue. This guy said once, or that teammate, or this coach, or that general manager, now you go to a new place and you have none of that. Talking about Aaron Rodgers, starting with New York with a clean slate. Seems like every offseason previous, we were talking about Aaron Rodgers potentially retiring or leaving the Packers.
Yeah.
And this preseason, it's been all praise for Aaron Rodgers.
Well, if you're a history buff at all, you know the story of one of the great European explorers, Ponce de Leon. Yeah. He settled in East Brunswick, New Jersey, and that's where he discovered the Fountain of Youth. And that's just a fact. You can look it up. So Aaron Rodgers came to New Jersey, saw the Ponce de Leon Fountain of Youth, and it's been great ever since.
It's amazing.
Like it's been money good. Yeah. Every single thing that we have heard about him, that has been written about him from people who claim to be in the know, has turned out to be false, at least in the experience we've had with him as the Jets quarterback. He's not aloof. He is one of the guys. He puts in extra time. He didn't miss a single day of OTAs or a training camp this summer. He was all in every way. He counseled guys. Mekhi Becton, they're starting right tackle.
Preseason for the first
who's in
time in
battle.
8 years.
Zach Wilson, embattled starting quarterback. He's been a guy that the younger guys go to. They enjoy hanging out. And it's been refreshing, frankly, because I never met Aaron Rodgers.
Not yet.
But if you had asked me my opinion of him, it would have been based on what other people said, right? Based on their experience the last couple of years in Green Bay, which we've talked about a lot on this show, right? Mm-hmm. And he has completely done an about-face on all that negative stuff, and he's been money good. If he plays the way he has been off-field for the Jets are a problem for everybody.
Yeah, that's an absolute fact. Look, from day one, I think his agenda has been, and whether you agree with it or not, has been to change the narrative. I said it when he first got here. It's the largest market that you could be in. There is no other market that I believe that you could shift and completely flip the script on your narrative other than New York. He's done all of that. He's even to the point of, we all talk about, well, is he going to be here for a year? Is he going to be here for 2? He's even nipped that. No, I'm here. I'm here for the next 2, 3, maybe even longer. Yeah. And so for me, he's doing everything that he's supposed to do. The next test is the most important test.
Win games.
Win games.
So here's my question for you, Greg, is you see it in Hard Knocks, and especially from Cobb and Lazard, people that played with him before, that he gets frustrated with receivers. We saw it last year. There's sort of like this other shoe that might drop with Aaron Rodgers if there are some problems and miscommunications on the field. Is that something you experienced with him, or is that something that you expect here?
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily experience that with him because when Aaron Rodgers took over in Green Bay,
it was a different part of his career.
It was a different part of his career, but we were already established. We were already rolling with Brett prior to Aaron Rodgers coming over. However, what I can speak to is his level of perfection. So his expectation of the guys that he's going to take the field with is going to be met where he is. Like, he's not going to go and meet you where you are. He's going to try to raise your level of play and your IQ and awareness up to where he is so that we can achieve something great, period.
All right, listen, coming up, Travis Kelce talks about being the hunted versus the hunter.
Really?
Is that what it is? I think. And what player's mom tells him every day that he sucks? We'll tell you the answer to that. That's a family you want to hang out with for sure. After that. College football at its best last night as Riley Leonard leads Duke in a major upset win at home against Clemson. Clemson was a 12-point favorite in this game and had national championship aspirations. They're out the window now. But here's the best part of it, other than Duke winning the game and upsetting Clemson, is that this kid Riley Leonard right there, the quarterback, he and his mom have a very interesting relationship. She calls him every day and starts the call by saying, "You suck."
Love it.
So
I love it. I support it.
So the kid wears a wristband, or like a bracelet right there, that says,
"You suck.
You suck."
I like it.
I mean, that's
It's motivation.
Mother's love.
Yeah.
It also works when the opponent sees it.
It does.
Like you suck.
Yeah,
So-
but if you're high on the hog like he probably is, starting quarterback at Duke, he's living it up.
Yeah.
He has to write himself. You suck.
You suck. Yeah. Hey, Mom, how did I do? You suck. And yeah, I didn't suck last night. And then I love what I'm about to show you because it's organic and it reminds you that this is a kid. And while he's a student athlete, we all think a certain way about those guys. This is a kid that still has to do homework. Except last night, he didn't do his homework. And now he's asking the teacher for some help. Watch this.
Professor Taylor, if you're seeing this, please let me turn in my homework late because it's due tonight, I think at 12, so it may already be 12.
Oh, man.
Come on, Professor Taylor.
It's so organic and honest and innocent. I love it, Greg.
It is. You said something. I'm going to let you say it.
What did I say? Behind the curtain or on air? Two different Willies.
Only at Duke are you thinking, I just won the biggest game of my life.
No doubt.
But we got to think about academics right now.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
I mean, he's a screaming endorsement. Like, football players get a bad rap, but I would let him date my daughter. After a comment like that, you can date my daughter after. Yeah.
Riley, you can't date my daughter. Anyhow, good job by Duke. A good job by Riley Leonard. All right, some stuff from the NFL. Travis Kelce talked about the difference in being the hunted versus the hunter. Although I'm just trying to figure out when in his career they've ever not been the hunted. In any event, here's Travis Kelce.
I want everybody's best shot. That's just who I've always been. I want to beat you at your best. I don't want any excuses, and I want that challenge. That fuels me.
Yeah, look, I respect all that. I don't know where we got the hunted thing there because you didn't say it really, but they are the team to beat. You're there at the top of Mount Olympus. Everyone's kind of clawing at their ankles, trying to bring them down. They're the Vegas favorites to win. They should be. They got Patrick Mahomes. They got arguably the best tight end to ever play. But it's interesting when a guy verbalizes what a lot of fans think too. I'm always against that. I don't want you at your best. I don't. Like the notion of, we want you at your best. Why? I want the easiest possible road to try to win a championship. I want to play you when your quarterback has mono. I want to play you when your wide receiver's in prison.
Yeah.
I want to play you when your head coach is grinding with a cheerleader.
Yes.
I do not want to play you when you're focused and ready for me to show up.
This team was 14-3 and won the Super Bowl last year, right? They are the standard, and you can attest to it, Greg. When both sides of the ball playing at a high level, your swagger's different. You step on the field, and you know what the opposition is doing? It's like, hey, man, if we can just hang with these guys, we're okay. Now, we get stomped out, back to the drawing board. So that's what he's saying, and I get that. It's just him just being, I guess, trying to, give himself some extra lift for the season.
Look, you always have to stay motivated somehow, some way. And when you get a little entitled, and typically when you win, you start to feel a little entitled. You get a little bit of complacency. I remember when we won the Super Bowl the following year, there was a lockout and we weren't getting together. Drew Brees was out with his receivers. Aaron Rodgers wasn't with any of his receivers, and we come back and we're 15-1. Like, I mean, like we were still motivated. It just looked different. We knew we were going to get everybody's best shot. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to get everybody's best shot. And those types of things, when you have great players, that's motivating. That's what allows them to take that next step and turn that engine on all over again.
What's crazy, though, is that they've got three great players, right? Like three household name great players, right? They've got guys who have shown glimpses, guys like Kadarius Toney, who when healthy is a difference maker. But they got Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes. Right, and a bunch of other really good guys, but three difference makers. That's that they're not loaded top to bottom with all pros. They're just not.
Or quickly, we sat here yesterday talking about how Michael Parsons talking about I will win a Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Because he wanted the money. You don't think that man wants to get paid now?
Yes.
So he goes, hey, I want the best. Because if I can beat the best and you give me the best, you're going to have to pay me like the best.
This is also the same guy that 2 weeks ago said, oh, I forgot that we won last year. Do you remember that? He said, oh, I forgot that did we win the Super Bowl last year? I completely forgot. I've turned the page completely. But he knows that maybe he's forgot, but no one else has. And everyone for the last 4 years has been circling that date on the calendar when they play the Chiefs, and they do get their best effort, and we're going to see it against the
there are
Lions.
times in football when guys say things and even I have to go, that was one too many. That was one too many.
I forgot we won the Super Bowl.
Well, that's that. And I was alluding to Joe Douglas, general manager of the New York Jets. I'm a diehard Jet fan. You guys all know that. But even this one, he went one step too far. Joe Douglas talking about one of the intangible weapons that Aaron Rodgers brings to the table. This under the headline of a little too much. A little too much. Listen to Joe Douglas.
Aaron views the cadence as a weapon for the offense. And so there is a very detailed outline of how he wants to approach the cadence. And I know it's unique for a lot of people. And so there's a little adjustment period there. But I think as camp has progressed, guys have really settled into it.
Now we're talking about the cadence, how he's got the greatest cadence
Put him on game.
of all time. You played with that.
Put him on game.
Tell him.
Listen,
Greg, put him on game, Greg.
I understand the hard count, but it ain't like no one else has ever done a hard count before.
Yeah, it's different.
Thank you, Greg.
Put him on
game, Greg.
Chris is shaking his head like Chris Long right there on his body. He's shaking his head like, yeah, I've been on the other side of that. Because he's used it as a weapon. Like, you know how many free plays?
Yes.
Let's at this. Free play.
Free play, let's
You
go.
know what? You
And
know
you gotta
what
put it
these-
to the line.
You know what these receivers are taught? Get to the end zone. Let's go. Let's go, JJ.
He's the only guy in the history of the NFL to hard count.
Like, no, it's just the way he does it. Everybody knows that they're gonna get it. All you hear on the defensive side of the ball is watch the ball, watch the ball, watch the ball. But I'm gonna tell you a little inside thing.
Go.
With Aaron Rodgers and this cadence, it's not just for the defense. It's for us too on the offensive side of the ball because he gets us every day in practice.
False start.
And it's like when we saw in Hard Knocks where he was telling those guys, you got to hold your stuff now. It's real because it's that type of cadence where you just
Can you give us an example so I can hear what it sounds like so I understand?
Green 19, Green 19, hot. It's that right there.
That's so different than
And at
every other
that
quarterback
point, I
I've
probably
ever
went
heard.
off sides. That would have got me. That would have got me.
When
I
you
would have jumped just now.
when you listen audibly to the game and you hear quarterbacks, you don't hear Daniel Jones, you don't hear Jalen Hurts, you don't hear other quarterbacks actually using it to their advantage. He's always played the game differently than most. He takes that little cadence and, yes, turns it into a weapon. Why? Because he understands when we saw even Zach Wilson doing it.
Right.
And they didn't give him the free play. If I can get a free play, I can do no wrong.
Right.
Any wrong that I do is erased.
Yeah.
Greg, doesn't this lead to false starts too? Especially with a brand new team.
It's why Joe Douglas says, I mean, it's a progression. We had to learn too, because offensively, we got to know, we got a quarterback that's not just going to say on two and it's just blue 14 said hut. Like, no.
Willie, when you go back to the huddle after a false start, what's Aaron Rodgers going to say to the lineman?
You fat.
No, listen, and Greg's right. As much as you use it as a weapon, it's really him just control. Like everybody talks about game managing, right? One way you manage a game is by cadence, right? Because you're either getting everybody on the ball so the defense gets set, you pull an audible, all right, you don't like what you see, hard cadence to try to get 5 more yards, free plays to your point. But what Aaron does with the cadence is also he locks in the offense, right? He sets everybody up. Because sometimes if you're going no huddle, we get gassed too. We're out of breath. So this is saying, hey, big fella, breathe a little bit. Ha ha ha, got you. All right, we got another play to breathe. You know what I mean? So it's all about saving the oxygen, keeping everybody on the ball, and being able to see the defense and stay. That's what it's
God,
about.
we ask our football
And
players
I would tell you this, like, as a receiver, like we naturally have to watch the safeties and the rotation and all of that. When you have a great team that you go up against every day, like their defense, their own defense, you want them to show you signs of, they're jumping into this coverage. With that hard cadence count, you don't know when he's going to snap that ball. So you have to try to anticipate. If he catches you, you show what you're going to do. Now we've seen it. We don't have to read anymore. Now we just go out and play. Because I see you're rotating, you're going to a cover 1 or cover 2. I don't want to get into many details, but it gives us help right away to where we're no longer running our route and trying to identify what the defense is doing. You just showed us because of this cadence.
And one more time, how does it sound again?
Look, Green 19 said, hot.
You jumped offside. Both of you jumped offside.
This happens.
Come on,
Sorry, you got to hold it. Free play. Let's go. All right, Willie Cologne is here. He's a full part of the show now. So with that, he gets to demand a segment that's all his.
Hey,
They love me. They really love me.
Give him as little time as possible. But it's called Willie.
Won't he?
It's
pretty good.
All right,
Pretty
here we go.
good.
Very quickly, you guys chime in as you want.
Help.
We'll just let the big fella go first here. Dak Prescott will lead the league in interceptions. Will he or won't he?
Won't he? I think Dak is going to be a changed man. I think under Mike McCarthy, he's going to be way more controlled. The defense will play in front. He will play behind the defense. Mistake ever free football for Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys.
Won't he? I don't think he's going to lead the league. He understands that there's a lot riding on this, not just wins and losses, which is I know he wants, but the future of am I going to be the quarterback moving forward is riding on my
Trey
success.
Lance had a great practice yesterday.
So bad.
All right, number 2.
I hate it for Dak, man.
Tyreek Hill, Miami Dolphins, will go over 2,000 yards receiving. Will he or won't he?
I'm gonna say won't he? I like Tua, man. I know what he's capable of, but if something happens to Tua, I think his production goes way down.
Yep, and you don't predict something's going to happen, but until he gets through a year without anything happening, it's more likely that something does.
No
Go.
one's ever done this before. This is a pretty easy call.
In the regular season, it's never been done.
Well, it's been done. Cooper Kupp did it in the playoffs, but this has not been done before. I don't see any reason why Tyreek Hill would do this, especially when Jalen Waddle's there on the other side.
By the way, the record is 1,964 yards.
Guys, come on. The league is ever evolving. Are you kidding me? Will he? Yes. Like, it's going to happen. It's a matter
This
of
season,
it's going
Tyreek
to
Hill
happen.
getting 2,000 yards from scrimmage.
He would have had it last year if
Tua didn't
get hurt.
You're right.
Like, he clearly would have had it.
He's
like,
on
so
pace
for
for
me, if I take that off the table and Tua's healthy, why won't he?
But if Tua is not healthy, he won't.
But that's a if. There's so many ifs. Tyreek Hill has shown
And
that
to be
he's going to be
fair,
healthy.
also, there are 17 games now.
Thank
So
you.
you do have an extra week
Fair.
to possibly get a record. And we know that record means something because, again, regular season, it has never been done. And he was on pace to do it until Tua started suffering all those concussions. All right, ready, big fella?
Let's do it.
Joe Burrow plays in week 1. Will he or won't he?
He will, considering they got 2 divisional games right off the rip. Browns and Baltimore. You can dodge one, but you can't dodge the other one. So
Yeah, he ain't playing week 1. We're definitely in disagreement on that.
Yeah, he won't, simply because he understands it's a long season. I have time.
Here's another one real quick for you. Justin Fields will throw. Gotcha, Timmy. Throw for more than 3,500 yards this year. Will he or won't he?
He won't. That offensive line is still a work in progress. He needs more weapons, so he won't.
He will. I like Justin Fields, and I know Timmy. You don't believe, but I like the progression of where the Bears are. They're putting guys around him. DJ Moore, a guy that we're going to get to see a lot more of, hopefully, and he's going to make plays. Like, this guy understands. I have to be better in the passing game. It's not just about the protection. Sometimes he ran outside the pocket unwillingly,
forced to.
unnecessarily. So I think he will.
He does have some weapons around him this year, at least. Unlike last year, where he's kind of running to save his rear end. But combined in his first 2 years, he has 4,000 yards combined passing. But he's been a monster with his legs thus far in his young NFL career. 2 more real quick. Number 1, Chris Jones plays week 1. Will he? Won't he?
He won't. He's already committed to say he's willing to stay out to week 8. I think he's serious about it. He wants the bag. Hopefully he gets it.
Yeah, he won't. There's nothing else need to be said. He's making a statement himself.
And final one for you. Opening Sunday of the NFL season, Willie Cologne takes down more than 5 pounds of wings on Sunday.
He will!
No, I'm taking
He will!
He won't. I got to continue to slide in the shirts like this.
We got to save room for nachos and fries. We got some sliders. We're sliding into stuff.
I have a couple.
First in football coming up, we got Brian Dable, head coach of the Giants, talking about how tough Sunday night's going to be against the Dallas Cowboys. And a Chicago Bear player spoke, and we're still trying to figure out who he is. Next. And with that, we go to First in Football and my main man, Jacoby.
We start with General Manager of the Jets, Joe Douglas, comparing Garrett Wilson to some very notable receivers. Here is GM Joe Douglas propping up Garrett Wilson.
I mean, he's like Gumby out there running routes.
Gumby didn't play football.
Like there's like an Odell type.
Oh.
Then explosiveness, separation ability, Justin Jefferson route running ability, great ball skills, great after the catch.
It's like he's the Frankenstein of wide
Do you
receivers.
think he's more Odell, Justin Jefferson, or Gumby?
I hope he ain't Gumby. Because Gumby
attack.
can't run fast.
That's why he had a horse.
He does pokey.
Yeah, I remember the horse. Yeah.
Look, I don't know what's got into Joe Douglas. I've never seen him like that, where he's that glib in an interview. Behind the scenes, great guy. Talk to you, have a beer with you, and just is a good dude, which means he's really uber confident. For him to, I know he's just talking about one individual, and he's only played 1 year, and it was a great year, especially when you consider Joe Flacco, Mike Effin White, and Zach Wilson and Chris Streveler as the 4 guys that are throwing him the rock. And there wasn't a great receiver on the other side of the field for him last year. So hearing it, he's right, and now you got to do it. And that's the beauty of sports. Last year doesn't matter anymore. Now you've got to do it, and the expectation, of course, with Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback, is that those numbers multiply significantly.
Well, no, you hit on the head. It's because number 8, Aaron Rodgers. He understands that he's going to put Garrett Wilson in the best position on the field for Garrett Wilson to be the best he can be. He's not having a young quarterback as Zach Wilson who's going to be chucking and ducking and throwing the ball all over the place, forcing Garrett Wilson to be kind of step outside of his shoes and do the impossible. He trusts Aaron Rodgers to make sure that kid right there is going to be a potential Hall of Famer.
You know what the crazy thing about it is, as Joe's talking there, the reason I brought up Frankenstein is, if you were going to create the greatest wide receiver in the game today, he's talking about, you take Jefferson's this, you take Odell's that, and you put it together, you create like this super wide receiver. And that's, they may be wrong, but that's how the Jets feel about Garrett Wilson.
And they should.
Yeah.
They should. Look, can we put the stats up again? Like, because I really need people to understand the context of what he did last season.
There you go.
Like, look
that's rookies, though. Compared to rookies.
Yes. Look at the quarterbacks. Yeah. Like, look at the quarterbacks, and that's what he did.
Yeah,
like,
well, there are no quarterbacks.
For me, like when you watch him and you see, even Hard Knocks, what they do a great job is they give us an inside track of how players feel about one another. When you watch Aaron Rodgers throw him the ball, when you watch him just see what the ability of this young Garrett Wilson and what the potential is, he's excited about it. Do you understand the type of guys that he's played with?
Yeah.
Like he had a relationship that we all know that was uber successful with Devontae Adams,
right?
And he wore number 17. So naturally, you can start to compare guys that have the potential to be something special. Garrett Wilson is already special. He's proved that last season with nobody at quarterback. Now you give him Aaron Rodgers. Nobody expects him to go in reverse.
Not just that. You don't give him just Aaron Rodgers. I think this is part of it. You also added. You have Alan Lazard. You have Randall Cobb. They will use the tight end, namely C.J. Uzomah, more than he got used if he stays healthy last year. So it's not just, Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, 1,500 yards, lock it up. It's that there's other guys who are good too.
You're exactly right. And it only makes his job that much easier because now if you're defense, you're not just solely focused on, we got to just take away Garrett Wilson. Yeah, you're going to go in there with that game plan. But if you just think you're going to just have to take away Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard's going to get you, Randall Cobb's going to get you.
Harmon.
Not even Harmon. You look at the backfield. You're going to be able to throw the ball out of the backfield.
And by the way, no one's talking about Dalvin Cook.
Because we gotta see him.
No, we don't have to see him. I know what he is.
Okay.
We do know what he is.
We'll see him Monday night. We have a big game. Also, big game. We'll go to Second in Football to discuss it. Sunday night between the Giants and the Cowboys. The Cowboys have beat the Giants 11 of the last 12 times.
What?
There's my guy,
Crazy.
Brian Dable.
Crazy.
In my opinion, one of the best coaches in the NFL. He talked about the elite players on the other side of the ball come Sunday night.
They have really good players, some elite players. Particularly at certain spots, and it'll be a big challenge for us.
Listen, it's going to be a big challenge. Your favorite top 8 quarterback, Daniel Jones, I'm just checking out to make sure I'm right, has beaten the Dallas Cowboys how many times in his career? Is it one? Is that what? One? Is it once?
One, yeah.
Maybe one. Just one time.
More than zero.
8th best quarterback in football is only beats the
more than
Cowboys.
zero.
And it's like he plays them once every 5 years.
He's done it
He gets them
before.
twice a year.
He's done it before. He has accomplished that goal before.
What are you seeking?
He's done it.
What are you seeking to accomplish right now?
I'd anger you.
No, you're not going to anger me. And I will say this, Jacoby. You and every other person that voted on Coach of the Year thinks that Coach Dable is one of the best coaches.
I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
He's a good coach.
I do.
Yeah. No, I know.
I would also say that Joe Douglas, the GM of the Jets, and Brian Dable, the head coach of the Giants, 2 men, 0 necks. No necks.
Oh,
no necks.
Very good point.
No necks.
Yeah, that's a neck-free zone.
It is
what it is. Look,
NFC.
You know, I'll say this
zone.
about this game. I don't know how anyone can predict this game, to be fair, because you don't know what Dak Prescott's going to be. You know the strengths of teams. We know that the Giants obviously very well coached, won every game by 8 points or less last year. They've got Darren Waller, changes the entire scope of the offense. Saquon Barkley, all-world running back. You know what the Cowboys are on defense. I don't know how anyone, I'm not saying anyone is, can come out defiantly or confidently and say, I know this is going to happen. I could write the script of this game. I think this game is an absolute toss-up because I don't know on the Giants side how good that Giants offense is going to be now that you had Darren Waller, Paris Campbell, and all the moves they made, right? I don't know on the Cowboys side how good that offense is going to be with Dak Prescott. It's a major question.
Yeah, I think Daboll is all fluff. I think he knows how good that offense can be and will be. And that's why he's talking to Cowboys up saying, hey, you guys are great. Great defense, Parsons, Tavon Diggs. You guys are amazing. What he wants the Dallas Cowboys to walk in there and say, hey, you know what? We're pretty good too. Watch Darren Waller go to work. Watch this quarterback we just paid go to work. Watch Saquon Barkley. Watch us knock up the Cowboys and put a whooping to them. So I think that's just all fluff. I think he knows how good the Giants are going to be.
Yeah, Cowboys are favored, right, Troy, in this game? Yeah. By the way, it's like a point or two. It's nothing significant, right? Close. Yeah, and by the way, that means nothing to me, that particular spread, because I do think it's a toss-up game. And obviously, Sunday night, interested to watch. The Cowboys are favored by 3 or 3.5, depending where you go. And that doesn't mean anything to me, because we've only seen the Giants' offense on one drive this preseason. That's
all we needed to see.
And what they do.
That's all we needed to see.
Pop.
Straight down the field.
So we're going to see. Now, the question for me about Sunday night's game between the Giants and the Cowboys is the bad juju now between Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. And if that plays itself onto the field on Sunday night, I am concerned about that.
It's time for third down. We move to third in football. Another division game this weekend in week 1. This one is between the Bears and the Packers. And Bears safety Jaquan Brisker had some very interesting things to say about the place where you used to play, Greg Jennings. Let's listen to the safety of the Bears.
That was a weird drill.
I'm waiting. I'm itching. It's Packers week, so I know it's gonna be live in the stadium. Fans everywhere. It's gonna be loud. People hate Green Bay. I hate Green Bay. So I can't wait. They didn't get to see me last year. They're gonna get to see me this year, though.
Yeah, I don't know why he hates Green Bay.
I hate Green Bay.
Play last year. And Green Bay is a wonderful town. You live there. Oh, that's right. You moved to Minnesota.
Oh,
Green Bay must suck.
You hate Green Bay too, right?
No, I don't hate Green Bay. Are you kidding me? Beautiful town. Best fans in the world. Look, so what, Brisker? We hate you too, man. I'm turning.
He said not in Chicago. We hate
this. I very seldomly, you guys know this. I very seldomly jump into the uniform again. Like, you got me jumping into the uniform. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, the Green Bay Packers, I don't care who's under center. There's no love lost. There's no respect for the Bears, man. It is what it is. As much as I talk about Justin Fields and how excited I am to see him have success, not this week. Not this week, and neither you. The defensive side of the ball has been poor.
Now, hang on. To be fair, Greg Jennings, and the Bears happen to be favored, believe it or not, in this game. That's because you just don't know what Jordan Love is, obviously. If you are involved with the Chicago Bears or the city of Chicago at all, your lasting memory, not Jordan Love, is of Aaron Rodgers basically saying, I'm your daddy.
Yeah.
So I understand the passion and emotion. I think he also said, if I'm not mistaken, I own you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, this is Chicago's chance, not knowing what Jordan Love is, but assuming he's not going to be as good right out of the gate as Aaron Rodgers, for Chicago to get a little something back.
And this is why it hurts even more.
Well,
you have expectations now to win.
If I'm a teammate of Jaquan, I'm saying, man, that's awesome, right? That's amazing. You're fired up, but don't go from gangster to girl, right? Don't be in the locker room talking all this whoop-de-whoop, and then come game time on the field, we can't find you on tape because you hide it. So if you're gonna talk it, you better be about it.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm with you now. But how about the Chicago Bears being favored?
I know, by 3.
What?
No one cares.
What? What?
By 3.
I mean,
By
the
point and a
indignity
half.
of being an
point and a half
underdog
favorite
against a lousy football team.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
They could be favored by 10. I don't care.
Moving on to 4th and football. Now we're going to the West Coast. This is some words that come from one of my favorite safeties, Talanoa Hufanga. He said this.
You can't curse on this show.
Right. Quote, we would love to have Bosa. Obviously, I think it's a no-brainer. Best defensive player in the NFL, and it shows. For us, we've got to prepare as if he's not going to be here. Craig, does this say anything to you about whether or not Bosa will be on the field for the 49ers?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like Travis Kelce coming out talking about Chris Jones, right? We know we're a much better team when fill in the blank is on the field. And these are guys that obviously don't talk a lot during the regular season, but during that dead week and leading up to week 1, hey, what's the deal with Bosa? What's the deal with Bosa? Hey, what's the deal with Jones? What's the deal with et cetera, et cetera? And I just think he's being honest. We want him on the field. We need him on the field. We have to prepare as if he's not playing until he shows up. And when you guys said yesterday, which resonated with me at least, if there's any position on a football field where you literally can show up the day before and be productive, it happens to be defensive line.
I agree with that. On top of that, the difference between this man right here and Chris Jones is the end-all be-all. Bosa, they have a guy by the name of Fred Warner who could also be another big-time impact guy.
Yep.
They have a more complete defense. The Chiefs don't. So this is why, Bosa admits, he's like, well, we can make hay. We got enough on offense. We can get it. But defensively for the Chiefs, you need that big fella in a uniform.
Right. We're much better with him, but a week or two, we can survive without him. And I don't want to get in the weeds, and I apologize. The other major difference between the Bosa deal and the Jones deal is that Bosa's still on that rookie contract. So whatever fines he's accrued, you can make them go away. Jones, you cannot.
Yeah, I hear you, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Who was the defensive player of the year last year?
Nick Bosa.
Yeah, so I mean,
you want to have
that guy, and I know we don't talk about the Steelers a lot, but they got a young quarterback that can get outside the pocket and that can make plays, and got guys on the outside that can make plays. What will alleviate that and eliminate all of that is having a guy like Nick Bosa.
It doesn't hurt having one of the great defensive players on the field. Doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt.
So what does hurt? What does hurt is when your quarterback and running back are not on the same page, and your quarterback selfishly took all the money and at no point considered your feelings or your needs or your expenses. That's what's happening in New York right now with Danny Jones and Saquon Barkley. Does it play itself on the field Sunday night?
No.
We'll get into it with headlines right after this. That's, what's his name again? Willie Colon. That's Greg Jennings. That's David Jacoby. And we have a problem in New York because Daniel Jones yesterday restructured his contract. He doesn't take a nickel less. He just gets some of his money up front now in a signing bonus. So the deal's the same. It's how they pay him. But what the Giants do by restructuring is they open up about $6 million now in cap space, giving them around 8 or 9 going into the start of the season. So the obvious question is, if Daniel Jones was willing to restructure the contract to give the Giants more money under the cap to spend this year, why didn't he offer to do that to get Saquon Barkley more money? Answer? He must hate Saquon Barkley.
No, I think it comes down to him staying out of Saquon's pockets. The market was all over the place. He was trying to get more money, more running backs. I mean, Saquon should be upset with Ezekiel Elliott. Because once Zeke got the bag, he didn't do nothing with it, and that brought the market value down. That's being 100. So at the end of the day, I don't think there's any beef. I think he was just like Saquon handled Saquon, and him being prepared to be the best quarterback.
You want to be the most likable guy in the locker room as the leader and captain and quarterback of the New York Giants. You go out of your way to make sure the guy that got you the $82 million guaranteed over the next 2 years is getting paid. Period. Stop. It's $2 million in the grand scheme of things. You could have restructured and gone to the ownership of the Giants and said, look, I need this guy to be happy. Let's give him an extra $2 million. I'll restructure my deal to make it happen. But he didn't do it because he's a selfish, greedy, money-hungry bastard.
He's the selfish, greedy,
that's right,
money-hungry one when he's not the billionaire.
No.
He's not the billionaire. He doesn't own the team. Daniel Jones.
He took all the money.
No, he doesn't. No,
he's like, I want mine.
The New York Giants had the money they could have paid Saquon.
Maybe they hate Saquon Barkley.
Maybe so.
I love Saquon Barkley. I do. And I think Saquon Barkley got screwed by his quarterback.
I know you know it's not true, but I enjoy listening to you say it.
I'll tell you, bothers me.
I know you know it's not true, but I enjoy listening to you say it.
And by the way, these two guys worked out almost every day together before official training camp started, running hills, doing cone work, you know the deal.
Yep.
And that'd be like my brother stabbing me in the back.
Oh, no.
Like, we're showing up, he's bringing Chick-fil-A to the workouts. We think we're getting along really great, right? Everything's hunky-dory. And all of a sudden, behind my back, he's taking all the money and not thinking about me. I'm telling you, it's a problem.
I don't remember Chick-fil-A being a pre-workout meal.
Yeah, not on Sundays because it's not open. But every other day of the week, sandwiches pretty good. I mean, the Popeye sandwich is still the best chicken sandwich in the land, but Chick-fil-A is pretty damn good. Just putting it out there, chicken wars. I'm just a normal guy. All right, from there, let's go to Dallas. Mike McCarthy thinks this year's Dallas Cowboy team is the most competitive of all the teams he's had over the last 4 years. Listen to Coach McCarthy. Go ahead.
I think the competitive spirit of the team is higher than I've ever seen it in my 4 years here. I thought last year we hit the standard we needed. So I thought we were up and down at 21. 2020 is a little bit of a blur because there was so much that went on that year. So I think the competitive spirit of the team, you can see it from day one in training camp, and they've been very, very consistent with it.
Look, he really doesn't mean a lot because he's basically said every year was the best year from a competitive spirit standpoint. The difference this year is that we've seen it. We've seen it with Trayvon Diggs, referring to Dak Prescott as the B word, right? We've seen it with Micah Parsons being told to kind of chill a little bit in practice and saying, I'm going to win a Super Bowl and all that. We've heard it from Jerry Jones. So I do think it's real. I don't know if it's real on offense. I know it's real on defense.
It's real on defense to all the points you just talked about. And listen, when you're watching the Dallas Cowboys, you're also seeing them getting in training camp fights, right? I mean, the intensity's there. Michael Parsons, you got to pull on his chain, like, hold on, big fella. And you also got Trayvon Diggs leading the way, cussing out his quarterback.
Yeah.
Because the defense is tied. Enough is enough. How long are we going to be the laughingstock of the NFL? We have all the talent. We have Jerry. We have everything we want. Now it's time to go win meaningful games in the playoffs. You get knocked out twice by the San Francisco 49ers, who, by the way, aren't going anywhere. Because they seem like they keep reloading and getting better along with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Giants, by all accounts, have gotten better. So Dallas, like, enough is enough. Let this defense, who is led by Dan Quinn, they're going to get after the quarterback, they're going to cover, and they will be aggressive and be the spearhead of this team.
The thing with Dallas in the last couple of years has been, hey, we got a great offensive line, we can run the ball, Dak, supplements that, CeeDee Lamb, blah, blah, blah. But now it's very obvious. The core and the strength of this year's Dallas Cowboy team is going to be that defense, period, stop.
Yeah, prior to Micah Parsons' arrival on the scene in Dallas, we were talking about how Dak Prescott was the alpha male. It was about Dak Prescott. He was the head honcho. He was the leader of this team. I don't think any of us truly dismisses Dak from that totally.
Yeah.
But Micah Parsons is the one in charge. He's the one out front. Yeah. He's the one carrying the flag and
Which
running.
is a major change.
It's a major change, and it lets you know what they're going to lead with. They're going to lead with their defense. And all you're going to ask of the offense, I don't care who's at quarterback, you're going to ask them to not mess it up. Like, offensively, we need you guys to just do your part. Do your part. That's all we're going to ask you to do. We're not going to ask you to try to go win games.
Jacoby's brought up, I think, correctly a few times this week and last week, which is when Jerry Jones comes out and says, We want Dak to do less.
Before the snap.
And less.
After the snap.
And less.
All over the place.
But
it's true. To get those guys involved. But another thing about this year, which is different than other years, is the NFC, there are 3 teams that have the potential to win the conference. Now, obviously, there's some dark horses, but there are 3 teams, and the Cowboys are one of those teams, the other 2 obviously being the Eagles and the 49ers. It's not just what they've done by adding Parsons and shoring up the defenses. The opportunity is opened up for them otherwise in the conference.
I heard you right. Conference. We're not talking about division.
Yeah.
And I agree. The talent is there. Look, I think San Francisco's the best team. You assume Brock Purdy's going to have, continuation of the great start he had to his career. If not, you can't, undersell the Eagles. The Eagles might even be better this year, possibly. If Jalen Carter's the beast on defense that they hope he is, and obviously another progression year for Jalen Hurts. But Dallas is in the conversation, and yet, if I asked you quickly, word association, NFC conference, we're all going San Fran and Philly first today. And that's the reality.
But then there's a big gap after Dallas before you start talking about the Saints and Seahawks and other teams.
I'm with you 100% on that. It's just funny that every single year, this is our year. This is our most. And by the way, a quick nod. I like Mike McCarthy a great deal. I know you do too. You played for him. He is 30-20. In 50 games as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You would think he's like 30 games under 500. The way people talk about him. He is a very, very competent coach. We got a minute to go, which means we end the show the way we always do with something we call a like it or a spike it. This just came across the wire. Can't believe it. Kyler Murray has been named captain of the Arizona Cardinals.
Like it. Who else? Who else? Who else?
How?
Who else?
How's that possible? The last time we saw him, he was in a sports bro.
Spike it.
Yeah,
He's not going to even dress for the Arizona Cardinals. Spike it.
No, he's captain of the Call of Duty team.
Spike it.
Love it. Love it.
It's the 4th straight year he's been named the captain for the Arizona Cardinals. But the first year, he's not expected to play a single game.
Oh, man.
Boy, his off-field leadership must be awesome. Yeah.
The way he brings together that Call of Duty team.
Yeah. He's definitely not reading the playbook with other people. And real quick, the guys want me to show this. We had a great moment here. Greg and Craig got together earlier in the show. I like that a lot. That's my brother right there. Anyhow, tomorrow on the show, I think we're doing mountain hiking for the top teams in all of football and so much more. Thank you for watching.